They say we're more connected than ever. Your phone buzzes. Someone's typing. Another reel, a heart. But in the pause between the notifications, you feel it. That silence. That quiet ache no one sees. It's like being underwater with 1,000 voices above, close but unreachable. And maybe, just maybe, you're not the only one drowning. Let me tell you a story about a man named Daniel. Daniel lives in Chicago. He's in his mid-30s, works remotely as a UX designer, rents a studio apartment on the 10th floor, and owns two things that define him: an espresso machine and a dog named Cooper. On paper, Daniel's life looks full. He has 824 followers on Instagram. He's part of 3 Slack communities. His WhatsApp has unread messages from old college friends. His coworkers send him gifts during Zoom calls. And twice a week, he plays Call of Duty with strangers online. His phone never really stops buzzing. And yet, Daniel can go 3 days without hearing another human voice say his name out loud. Last Thanksgiving, he sat at his window eating microwaved mac cheese, scrolling through stories of families, feasts, laughter. He tapped on a photo of his sister's turkey but didn't call. He wasn't sure what he'd say. Hey, just checking in from my solitude? It felt too honest, too heavy. He's not depressed, not clinically. He's functioning. But something inside him feels like wallpaper peeling from a wet wall, still hanging but barely attached. And the weird part? He knows this isn't just him. Everyone he talks to admits the same thing in different ways. Busy but drained. Tired but not sure why. Around people all day, but I feel like no one really knows me. Daniel isn't suffering from a lack of connection. He's drowning in shallow ones. He's experiencing what philosopher Martin Buber might call an I-it life, where interactions are transactional, roles are fixed, and no one really sees the other as a whole human. It's not that he's invisible. He's seen, but not felt. We mistake presence for closeness. We mistake noise for intimacy. In a world that sells likes, pings, and group chats as proof of community, we forgot how to be with each other in the way that matters. Slowly, vulnerably, honestly. German philosopher Martin Heidegger believed that modern humans suffer from das Man, the they. It's the idea that we exist according to what they do, they say, they expect. We shape ourselves to fit into a social machinery of roles, patterns, trends, and in doing so, we drift away from authentic being, with ourselves and with others. Heidegger warned that in the age of technology, we become too distracted to dwell. To dwell means more than live. It means to be present, to build space in time and silence, where meaning can emerge. Daniel doesn't lack people. He lacks dwelling. There are several layers to this epidemic of loneliness. Hyperconnectivity breeds superficiality. We've traded letters for likes, conversations for comments. The dopamine is cheap and immediate, but empty. Individualism over community. Western culture idolizes independence, but too much self-sufficiency becomes isolation in disguise. Efficiency kills intimacy. Even friendships are filtered by scheduling apps, group dynamics, and social algorithms. We forgot how to waste time with each other. Emotional shame. Saying, I'm lonely sounds like failure, so we hide it, and everyone keeps pretending. The first step isn't to add more people. It's to deepen one. Instead of DMing 10 people, what's up, Abdul? Try calling one and saying, I miss you. I want to talk. We need what philosopher Simone Weil called attention, the rare sacred act of giving someone your full presence without expecting anything back. No agenda, no performance, just presence. Loneliness can't survive where attention lives. Daniel once tried to fix the loneliness the way many of us do. He downloaded dating apps. Not really to date, just to chat, to swipe, to maybe feel wanted. He got matches, dozens. Conversations would spark, flicker, and fade. What's your favorite movie? Where are you from? How's your week been? It was like trying to light a fire with damp wood. There was motion, but no warmth. Eventually, Daniel realized something that startled him. He wasn't actually looking for a relationship. He was looking for witnessing. He wanted someone to look into his eyes, not his filtered selfie, and say, I see you, I get it. You're not weird for feeling this way. We all want that, don't we? But here's the twist. We've built a world that rewards performance over presence. Subdue what's actually going on here. Daniel's loneliness isn't about numbers. It's about mirrors, and he has none. We need mirrors to see who we are. Real, unedited, emotionally honest reflections. But social media gave us funhouse mirrors. Distorted, inflated, curated. There's a line by French philosopher Jean Baudrillard. In the era of simulation, reality disappears. We don't talk with each other anymore. We talk at avatars of each other. The more we post, the less we're known. The more we're seen, the less we're felt. That's the paradox of modern loneliness. In her book, The Human Condition, Hannah Arendt speaks of the vita activa, the active life, and how modernity has devalued action in favor of labor and work. Labor sustains life. Work builds the world. But action is the realm of human interaction, where speech, courage, and vulnerability shape identity. Arendt warned that in a society obsessed with production and appearance, we'd begin to avoid action because it's messy, unpredictable, and deeply personal. That's exactly what happened. Instead of real conversations, we choose stories. Stories over calls, filters over tears. We stopped showing up imperfectly and started disappearing perfectly. Why it's getting worse? Let's break it down further. 1, we monetize connection. Social platforms thrive on engagement, not depth. They don't want you to connect. They want you to click. 2, we lack communal spaces. Third spaces, like parks, libraries, and cafes, used to be hubs of unplanned real connection. Now they're often sterile, monetized, or virtual. 3, we're busy performing. Every tweet is a brand. Every TikTok is a strategy. Even vulnerability has become content. So we become emotionally constipated, full of things we can't say. Scared no one would hold it if we did. There's no algorithm for intimacy. No shortcut to being known. Here's where we start. Make room for silence. Don't fill every pause with noise. Let discomfort breathe. Sometimes the best connections happen after the awkwardness. Seek fewer, deeper relationships. Instead of chasing social networks, build social rituals. One friend you meet weekly for coffee is more valuable than 500 followers. Create sacred spaces. Dinner with no phones. Walks with no podcasts. Time set aside for unfiltered presence. As author and speaker Parker Palmer said, we are born with a seed of true self, but we spend our lives covering it with the false. Loneliness begins to heal when we risk being real. When Daniel's friend Olivia moved to Berlin, they promised to stay in touch. They texted often at first. Funny reels, late-night memes, occasional miss you messages. But over time, the messages slowed. Weeks passed without a call, and when they finally spoke, it was stiff, polite. What happened? They both meant to stay close. They both cared. But time, distance, and fatigue got in the way. They each told themselves, it's life. People drift. That's normal. And sure it is. But behind that rationalization was grief. The quiet grief of losing someone who's not dead. Of mourning a connection that faded without a fight. This kind of grief is everywhere now. We live in a culture that only recognizes loud grief, funerals, heartbreaks, layoffs. But there's a silent grief too, one that festers in the absence of ritual. We lose friendships slowly. We drift from old communities. We forget how to talk without screens. These aren't dramatic losses. They're ambient, lingering, background radiation the soul. We don't name this grief, so we don't process it. And unprocessed grief turns into cynicism. People suck. Nobody cares. It's just how it is. But what if the problem isn't people? What if the problem is how we've built our lives? French-Algerian philosopher Albert Camus spoke of the absurd, the conflict between our desire for meaning and the universe's indifference. To Camus, modern life forces us into routines that pretend to offer meaning, but deep down, we know they don't. Our days are filled with actions that feel hollow, scrolling, small talk, surface smiles. In the myth of Sisyphus, Camus paints the image of a man condemned to roll a boulder up a hill, only to watch it roll down again. Many of us, he says, live the same way. This absurdity is intensified by loneliness, because without real connection, life feels like a performance in an empty theater. Why it's happening, social infrastructure is dying. Let's get real. 1. Urban design isolates us. Modern cities are built for cars, not people. Apartments stack strangers atop each other without community spaces. 2. Work culture erodes friendship. We move for jobs, we network, we schedule. But friendship doesn't thrive in efficiency. It needs slow time, shared space, and emotional safety. 3. Digital life fragments our attention. Even when we're together, we're divided. Checking phones, multitasking, zoning out. Presence becomes a myth. 4. Society punishes vulnerability. Being too emotional is seen as weakness. So people bottle up, wear masks, and wonder why they feel disconnected. We can't fix all of society, but we can build micro-worlds of connection inside it. Try this. Design your life for overlap. Move closer to the people you love. Choose a gym, a co-working space, or even a church, not just for function, but for friction, for bumping into others. Ritualize connection. A monthly dinner, a weekly walk, a standing coffee date. Structure fosters spontaneity. Grieve, then reach. Let yourself mourn lost friendships. Say their names. Write them letters you never send. And then reach out to someone new. Risk beginning again. Because, as the poet David White wrote, the price of our vitality is the sum of all our fears. But to be human is to become visible, while carrying what is hidden as a gift to others. We heal loneliness by daring to be seen. Daniel once sat on a park bench for 2 hours watching people pass. Not in a creepy way. He just wanted to feel near life. Mothers pushing strollers, teens on bikes, a couple arguing in hushed tones. The world moved, laughed, cried, and Daniel watched, invisible. That's when it hit him. He wasn't just socially isolated, he was existentially isolated. Not just cut off from people, but from meaning. His loneliness wasn't just about who wasn't around him. It was about who he wasn't becoming. Here's a truth we don't hear enough. Loneliness isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's your psyche telling you that something essential is missing. Not more people, more purpose, more presence, more you. The spiritual teacher Thomas Merton once said, "The deepest level of communication is not communication, but communion. It is wordless. It is beyond words." Most of us aren't starving for conversation. We're starving for communion, to resonate with someone, to sit in silence and feel understood, to not have to explain yourself, to be known in the spaces between words. That ache in your chest, it's not emptiness. It's the shape of the connection you were made for. The Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard wrote about a sickness, not of the body, but of the self. In The Sickness Unto Death, he describes despair as the state of being disconnected from your true self. He argued that most people live either in aesthetic despair, distracting themselves with pleasures, or ethical despair, chaining themselves to duties and roles. But both are ways of avoiding selfhood. Sound familiar? Modern loneliness isn't just the absence of people. It's the absence of self-integration. You can be surrounded by love, yet feel hollow if you're not living as your true self. You can be praised by the world, yet feel unseen if no one knows the real you. That's not just loneliness. That's spiritual starvation. Here's the real issue. 1. We look outside for identity. Who am I? Has been replaced by what do they think of me? We chase approval, not authenticity. 2. We've lost inner stillness. With the constant noise, we never hear our own soul. Silence becomes terrifying, because in silence, we meet ourselves. 3. The self is now a product. We brand ourselves, market ourselves, sell curated versions of our lives. But when everything becomes content, nothing feels sacred. 4. Depth is optional. We live in a culture that encourages you to be everything except yourself. Just be fast, be liked, be monetizable. No wonder we're lonely. If loneliness is a symptom of soul fragmentation, then the cure isn't more noise, it's more return. Try this. Practice solitude, not just isolation. Solitude is chosen stillness. It's where you meet the unperformed self. Take walks without your phone. Journal without audience. Breathe without agenda. Engage in soul-making work. Read things that challenge you. Make art no one sees. Pray, meditate. Do things that reconnect you to wonder. Reconnect with the sacred. Whether it's through nature, faith, or stillness, create space for all. Loneliness shrinks when the soul expands. The mystic Rumi said, "Don't get lost in your pain. Know that one day your pain will become your cure." So start listening, not to the crowd, but to the whisper within. One rainy evening, Daniel got a text from an old college roommate. "Hey man, random thought, remember that time we got lost in Prague?" He smiled. It had been years. The memory came flooding back. Cheap beer, wrong train, laughing until their stomachs hurt. For a brief moment, Daniel felt like he existed again. Not in the eyes of strangers, not as a username, but as a living thread in someone else's story. And it raised a question he hadn't asked in a long time. What if the cure to loneliness isn't grand, but small? Not revolutions, not 10-step plans, but one call, one shared memory, one, "I was just thinking about you." We often think that fixing loneliness requires major life changes, new friends, new city, new lifestyle. But often, what we need is already near us, waiting for a little intention. You know what kills connection more than distance? Assumption. Assuming they're too busy. Assuming they don't care. Assuming it's too late. So we stay silent. And silence, repeated enough, becomes estrangement. But reconnection rarely begins with certainty. It begins with a risk, a text, a coffee, a walk. Imperfect, awkward, human. The Jewish philosopher Martin Buber introduced a powerful idea. There are two fundamental ways of relating, I-it and I-thou. In an I-it relationship, we treat people as objects, tools, roles, functions. But in an I-thou relationship, we meet each other as sacred beings, whole, real, unreduced. Modern life trains us in I-it. We network, we transact, we use each other for validation, comfort, or status. But intimacy, the real kind, only happens in I-thou. When you stop trying to fix someone, impress someone, or define someone, and just be with them. Loneliness shrinks in I-thou space. Because there, you're no longer a persona, you're a presence. Let's be honest, we're not just lonely because others are unavailable. We're lonely because we've been hurt, and now we hide. 1, we fear being seen. If they knew the real me, would they stay? 2, we fear being needed. Closeness comes with responsibility, and we're already exhausted. 3, we fear being abandoned again. So we sabotage connections before they get deep. That fear builds a wall, but it's not a strong wall, it's paper thin. Sometimes all it takes is a crack of kindness to break through. If the path to intimacy is paved with risk, then here's how we walk it. Start with small vulnerability. Don't overshare to force connection. Start with truth. Hey, I've been feeling kind of distant lately. Can we catch up? Learn to listen. Like, really listen. Don't just wait for your turn to talk. Let silence be part of the conversation. Choose a few people and go deep. Not everyone deserves your soul, but someone does. Find them. Keep them. Be inconvenient for them. Normalize need. You're not weak for wanting closeness. You're human. Stop apologizing for it. As Bell Hooks wrote, rarely, if ever, are any of us healed in isolation. Healing is an act of communion. Loneliness begins to loosen when we let others in. Not perfectly, not completely, just honestly. It was a slow Tuesday morning when Daniel walked into a small local bookstore, the kind with creaky floors and coffee-stained poetry. There were only a few people inside. No one spoke, but something about the place felt like it was holding him. The silence wasn't empty. It was spacious. A woman in the corner smiled at him, just a simple nod of recognition. And for a second, he wasn't alone. Not because he made a new best friend, not because someone gave him attention, but because he remembered, he was still part of the human story. And maybe that's where healing begins. Here's the truth they never taught us in school. Belonging isn't something you find. It's something you build, and you don't build it by fitting in. You build it by showing up as you are, and letting others do the same. Loneliness, paradoxically, is often a sign that you're ready to connect deeper, beyond performance, beyond convenience, into the real. So the next time that ache shows up, don't numb it. Don't scroll it away. Let it guide you toward the places and people that feel like home. The French mystic and philosopher Simone Weil wrote, "Attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity." In a world starving for validation, we confuse attention with recognition. But Weil's idea is deeper. To give someone your undivided attention is to say, "I see you, I'm here, you matter." That kind of presence is radical now. And yet it's what heals us most. You don't need perfect words, just presence, just witness, just your full, quiet humanity. One of the cruelest lies of loneliness is that it makes you feel singled out, as if everyone else is fine, as if you're the only one who doesn't know how to connect. But listen to this. Over 60% of young adults in the U.S. report frequent loneliness. Loneliness increases the risk of early death more than smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Even people in long-term relationships often report emotional isolation. So if you're feeling lonely, you're not broken. You're just human, in a world that's forgotten how to be human together. Loneliness may feel personal, but it's not just individual, it's cultural. And that means we can shape it together. Here's how we resist the tide. Build third spaces. Create places that aren't work or home. Cafes, book clubs, game nights. Places where connection isn't a side effect, but the point. Reclaim slow community. Join groups that meet regularly, even if it's awkward at first. Trust grows in repetition. Become the inviter. Don't wait to be asked. Be the one who sends the invite, who gathers the group, who reactivates the circle. Live as a welcome. Carry an energy that says, "You're safe here." That's a form of activism, too. Because, as author Parker Palmer wrote, the human soul doesn't want to be advised or fixed or saved. It simply wants to be